My name is Daniel. I'm 32, and I swear I was holding her hand. We were sitting in my room in silence, her palm resting in mine, still warm. Then nothing. If I hadn't still felt the heat of her skin, I would have believed she was never there at all. I've never been the type to imagine things. I'm a software engineer. Logic, structure, predictability, that's my world. But that night broke something inside me. So, if you're listening to this, don't rush to explain it with science. Logic won't help you here. It all started 2 weeks ago, on a quiet evening. I had just closed my laptop and leaned back in my chair when I heard a knock at the door. It was Claire, my ex. We hadn't spoken in months since the breakup. It was messy, painful. We'd promised not to contact each other again. But there she stood in the hallway, pale, exhausted, like someone coming back from a funeral. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. Her voice sounded tired, fragile. I hesitated, then stepped aside. We talked for hours. No arguments, no tears. Just honesty. Like two people finally ready to accept the wreckage. Then she said the words that changed everything. "I don't have a home anymore, Daniel. I have nowhere to go." And I replied without thinking. "Stay here, for as long as you need." Claire moved in that same night. She didn't bring any bags, no clothes, not even a toothbrush. I noticed, but I didn't question it. We were too busy falling into the rhythm of something that felt familiar and safer than I remembered. We drank tea in the kitchen late at night, watched bad movies under a blanket, fell asleep on the same side of the bed, like we'd never been apart. But there was something off, subtle, quiet. Claire was softer now. She used to be fiery, impulsive, emotional. Now she was calm, almost too calm, as if something had been taken out of her and replaced with silence. She spoke little. She never used her phone. Sometimes she'd just stare out the window for hours. Once I asked her what she was thinking about. She turned and smiled, faintly. "Nothing. It's just good to feel safe again." I smiled back, but something inside me stirred. On Wednesday, I left for groceries. She didn't want to come. When I returned, the apartment was silent. She wasn't in the kitchen, the living room, or the bathroom. Then I found her standing in the hallway, facing the wall, perfectly still. "Claire," I called out. She turned slowly. Her eyes looked unfocused, like she'd been deep in thought. "I didn't hear you come in," she said. That night, I couldn't sleep. Somewhere around 3 a.m., I heard whispers, low, muffled, from our bedroom. But Claire was sleeping beside me, her breathing slow and steady. When I turned on the light, there was no sound. Only her, curled up, eyes closed, looking peaceful. Too peaceful. It happened on a Sunday, the kind of slow, uneventful day where time stretches out. Claire and I spent most of it doing nothing, curled on the couch, half watching a documentary neither of us cared about. She looked pale, paler than usual. Her fingers were cold in mine, colder than the air around us. I noticed, but again I said nothing. I just squeezed her hand a little tighter. She didn't react. Then, suddenly, she turned her head toward me and said, "I'm glad I came back, Danny. I really am. But I have to tell you the truth." I blinked. My stomach dropped. "What truth?" I asked. She hesitated. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. And then, her hand. It got lighter. Not in the metaphorical sense. I mean it literally. Her hand lost weight. I looked down and watched her fingers soften, fade, dissolve like smoke in sunlight. "Claire," I said, barely a whisper. I turned. She was gone. Gone. Not walked away, gone. Not stepped into the next room, gone. Just gone. I leapt up, heart pounding. Searched every room, every closet, even under the bed, stupid, panicked. All windows were shut. Doors locked. Alarms still armed. No alerts. The apartment was empty. Except her teacup was still warm, and her phone sat on the coffee table. And then it rang. I stared at the phone like it was a grenade. Claire's phone, the one she had been using for the past 2 weeks, lying right there. Screen glowing. Her name on the caller ID. I picked it up with a shaking hand and answered. "Danny." Her voice. Clear. Real. "Claire," I gasped. "Where the hell are you?" "In Berkshire." "What's wrong?" That stopped me cold. "What do you mean? You were just here. You were in this apartment. We were on the couch. I held your hand." Silence. Then softly. "Daniel, I haven't seen you in over 6 months." No, no, don't do this. Don't gaslight me. You came here, Claire. You moved back in. We talked. We slept together. I made you tea this morning. Danny, her voice trembled. I didn't. I swear. I haven't even left the house today. I couldn't. I've been in bed all day. Ask anyone. I couldn't breathe. I dropped to the floor, pressing the phone tighter to my ear like that would change what I was hearing. Do you have someone else staying with you? She asked. Is that what this is? I didn't answer, because suddenly I remembered. She never unpacked, never left the apartment once, never ate more than a few bites of anything. And in the bathroom, no hair in the sink, no toothbrush, no smell of shampoo after a shower, like she had never physically existed in the space at all. But I felt her. I touched her, didn't I? That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat at my desk, lights off, her phone still beside me like a cursed relic. I went over every moment from the past 2 weeks. Not just memories, evidence. And that's when I realized something was very, very wrong. I opened the security app connected to the hallway motion sensors. The system keeps heat and motion-activated logs time-stamped. I scrolled to the night she arrived. No entry, no door opening, no second heat signature. Just me, alone, walking back and forth. It was like watching a ghost move through my own memories. I called Mark, a friend who worked in building security, and asked him to check the lobby footage from that night. He texted me 30 minutes later. No one entered the building, Dan. Not even you, technically. Footage glitchy, but you're the only person on camera all evening. That was impossible. I closed the app, walked to the mirror in the hallway, and remembered something I had ignored until now. When Claire stood beside me brushing her hair, there was no reflection next to mine. I thought it was lighting. Maybe I was tired. Maybe the mirror was dirty. But it wasn't. She had no shadow, no reflection. I dropped to the floor, my mouth dry, my brain screaming at me to find a rational explanation. But my heart already knew. Whatever had been here with me wasn't Claire. The night after the mirror, I tried to convince myself I was just overtired. That grief, loneliness, guilt, all of it had mashed into some kind of hallucination. So I took sleeping pills. 2. I wanted a blank night. No thoughts, no voices. But the dark had other plans. Around 2:40 a.m., I woke up gasping, my heart pounding so loud it felt like a drum in my skull. I had no memory of a dream, but the sheets were soaked. I was freezing. Then I heard it. Whispers. At first I thought it was coming from the hallway. A neighbor, maybe. But then I realized it wasn't coming from anywhere. It was inside my room. Inside my head. A female voice. Soft. Familiar. But wrong. Like Claire's voice underwater. Slowed down. Filtered through static. Thank you for letting me feel again. I sat up, every muscle tense. So warm, so safe. I remember now. I flicked on the bedside lamp. Silence. The voice stopped. But not the feeling. The presence. It was like I wasn't alone in the room. Not in a horror movie way. Not something crawling in the dark. Worse. Like someone sitting inches from me, watching. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, there were new scratches on the inside of my bedroom door. Long, thin, vertical. Like fingernails dragged slowly downward. Claire had short nails. This did not. By now, I wasn't trying to be rational anymore. I'd seen too much. Felt too much. Logic wasn't just failing me. It was mocking me. The only question left was why? Why did it come? Why is her? That's when the text arrived. Claire's number. 8:03 a.m. Just one sentence. I'm sorry. That wasn't me. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling. My first instinct was to call her the real Claire. She answered after 2 rings, groggy. Daniel? Are you okay? Did you just text me? No. I haven't even touched my phone yet. Can you check? Right now. A pause. Then, no messages sent from me. Nothing. What's going on? I didn't answer. I ended the call. Then checked the message again. It was still there. But when I looked at the metadata, my phone said it was received before the timestamp. 7:41 a.m. 22 minutes before it arrived. That shouldn't be possible. Unless time didn't matter to it. Unless it wasn't bound by the same rules as us. I scrolled further down the conversation thread. Something caught my eye. The first message I'd received from Claire's number after she disappeared. Danny. It had a geotag. Only one. From my apartment. At 3:03 a.m. Right after the whispers. I bought 3 cameras the next day. Motion-activated night vision 1080p. I installed them in the hallway, bedroom, and living room. Not because I expected to catch anything, but because I needed to prove something, even if it proved I was insane. I left them running overnight, every light in the apartment off. Slept on the couch with the covers pulled up to my chin, phone clutched like a weapon. Nothing happened, or so I thought. The next morning, I opened the footage. Hours of nothing. Me pacing. Me brushing my teeth. Me staring at nothing. Then, 2:47 a.m., the bedroom cam lit up. The sensor picked up movement. I fast-forwarded and stopped breathing. At first, it looked like static, a digital glitch. But then it moved. A shape. A woman-shaped blur, standing beside my bed. Facing the wall. Shoulders slumped. Head slightly tilted like it was listening. Then it turned. No face. Just a hollow void, like black smoke barely held in human form. It leaned down toward the pillow. The mic picked up a faint, dragging whisper. He's warm again. Then it vanished. The timestamp said 2:49 a.m. I checked the motion log. No door had opened. No windows. No entry. No exit. And yet something had been in my bedroom, standing inches from me. Watching. After watching the footage, I couldn't stay in the apartment. I left. Just walked out with my phone, my wallet, and a jacket. I didn't lock the door. Didn't even look back. I wandered the streets for hours, trying to pretend I was still part of the world. That people around me were real. That I was. By evening, I returned. The apartment was cold, but untouched, except for one thing. On the edge of the coffee table, next to her untouched teacup, was an object that hadn't been there before. A ring. Her ring. Silver band, slim, slightly bent. I recognized it instantly. She used to wear it on her index finger, always spinning it when she was nervous. I picked it up. My breath caught in my throat. It was ice cold. Too cold. Like it had been in a freezer. I checked the footage. Nothing. Between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., not a single motion detection. No blips. No glitched figure this time. But the ring was there now, and it hadn't been before. I opened my old photos, scrolling back to a picture from over a year ago, one of the last we took together. She was wearing it. I zoomed in. My stomach twisted. The ring in the photo had an inscription on the inside. We begin again. I turned the one in my hand over. Same words. Same engraving. Same faint scratch near the edge. It was her ring. But how did it get here? She never brought any belongings. And according to her, the real Claire, she still had that ring. I called her. Claire, your silver ring. Do you still have it? Yeah, she said, confused. It's on my dresser. Why? I didn't answer. I just stared at the one in my hand. There were 2 of them. But there was only one, in 2 places at once. And one of those places should not exist. I stood in front of the hallway mirror again. The same mirror that never reflected Claire's presence. This time, I wasn't alone. The air around me thickened, pressing against my skin like invisible hands. My breath quickened. The silence felt louder. Slowly, I raised my eyes to the glass. And there she was. Not fully. More like a ripple in the reflection. A pale face framed by loose hair, eyes hollow and distant. She mouthed something, but no sound came out. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I reached out, fingertips brushing the mirror surface. Her reflection flickered and dissolved like smoke. But the image lingered in my mind, haunting, impossible, real. I whispered, Claire, what are you? No answer. Only the echo of my own voice. I realized then that she wasn't just a memory or a ghost. She was something else. Something trapped between worlds. And she wasn't done with me yet. That night, my phone buzzed again. No caller ID. No message preview. Just a ringtone that chilled me to the bone. I answered. A low, distorted voice whispered, You don't know what you're holding on to. Let go before it's too late. I tried to reply, but the line went dead. I checked the call log. No record. I sat in the dark, heart pounding. Was it her? Or whatever had been pretending to be her? I didn't know. But one thing was clear. This wasn't a game, and I was running out of time. I started researching Everything about hauntings, spirits, and the thin places between worlds. Every book, every article, every obscure forum post I could find. The more I learned, the more I understood. What I was dealing with wasn't just a ghost. It was a presence, a fragment stuck in the space between life and death. One theory mentioned thin places, locations where the veil between worlds is weakest. My apartment? It was one of them. The thing was feeding off my memories, my feelings, trying to anchor itself here. Pretending to be Claire, but it wasn't her. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. Then the mirror shattered. Not physically, but in my mind. I saw two versions of myself. One trapped in the room, one outside, watching helplessly. I couldn't tell which was real. I stood at the edge of everything I knew. The line between this world and whatever lay beyond was thinner than a whisper. The presence wanted to stay, to keep pretending, keep feeding on my memories. But I couldn't let it. I had two options. Let it consume me, lose myself in the echo of a ghost. Fight back, even if it meant breaking something inside me forever. I chose to fight. I gathered every photo, every memento that connected me to Claire, locking them away, sealing them off. Then, in the darkest hour, I spoke aloud. If you're still here, leave. Stop pretending you're her. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the temperature dropped. A cold wind swept through the apartment, and the whisper came again. I don't want to go. The room darkened, shadows twisting into shapes I couldn't name. Claire's face appeared before me, clearer than ever, but her eyes were hollow, sad. I'm sorry, Daniel, she whispered. I didn't want to leave, but I can't stay. I reached out, trembling. Why are you here? Her voice cracked. Because I was afraid. Afraid of being forgotten. You're not forgotten, I said. But you can't live in this in-between. You have to move on. She smiled, a fragile, fleeting thing. Thank you for letting me remember. For letting me feel. Then she faded, slowly, like mist in morning light. Silence returned. I was alone, but somehow at peace. Days passed in a quiet haze. The apartment felt lighter, yet strangely empty. No whispers, no cold touches, no shadows without reflections. I kept Claire's ring in a small box, tucked away. A reminder of what was and what had to be let go. I called the real Claire. She was fine, living her life far away from the haunting. I was left with memories and the knowledge that some things don't end with logic. That some presences linger not because they want to be remembered, but because something darker holds them back. I don't know what will come next, but I do know this. Sometimes the closest things to us aren't really here at all.